He sat on the edge of the hospital bed, his hands trembling. Nate wasn't a man of faith. Not really. He believed in hard work, in fixing what could be fixed. But this couldn't be fixed. His daughter, Mia, had been fighting leukemia for 13 months. She was 9 years old. Bright, stubborn, and far too wise for her age. And now she was dying. The doctors had said they were sorry, that there was nothing more they could do. They had tried every protocol, every last line of defense. The cancer kept coming back, fiercer, each time. He couldn't process the words. Palliative care, final weeks, pain management. They all blurred together like static in his ears. Mia lay beside him, small and still, her thin arms resting on the blanket. Her skin was pale, lips dry, eyes fluttering in and out of sleep. But she smiled when she saw him cry. "It's okay, Daddy," she whispered once, her voice like paper. "Jesus is with me." Nate had to turn away. He had screamed at God too, nights ago in the hospital chapel, punched the wall, cursed into the silence. The room had felt empty, cold, like nobody was listening. He hadn't prayed in years, maybe not ever. But something inside him broke that night as he watched Mia's chest rise and fall with effort. He found himself whispering into the dark, "I don't know who you are, if you're even real. But if you can hear me, son, give me a sign, something, anything." He wiped his eyes and laughed bitterly. "What am I even saying?" Mia slept. The machines beeped slowly. He dozed off in the corner chair, knees tucked up, arms crossed, exhausted. Sometime before dawn, something startled him awake. Footsteps. Not the usual shuffle of nurses. Firm, purposeful. The door creaked open. A tall man stepped inside. Clean white coat, dark, serious eyes. A folder in his hand. Nate rubbed his eyes. "You're not her doctor?" The man shook his head. "No, I'm Dr. Elian. I just transferred to this wing tonight. I reviewed Mia's chart. I think there may be something we can do." Nate blinked. What?" The doctor stepped closer. He spoke softly, clearly. "There's a clinical trial. It's early. It's not offered at this hospital, but I've worked with the researchers. It's high risk, but there's a window. And Mia, her profile fits. She could be eligible." Nate stood slowly, the blood draining from his face. This is real?" The man nodded once. "It's real, but we need to move fast." Nate turned to Mia. She stirred in her sleep as if sensing something. He whispered, "Is this it, God? Is this the sign?" The doctor placed the folder gently on the table. "I'll give you some time." And just like that, he was gone. Nate didn't sleep again that night. He sat in the chair, staring at the folder. His fingers traced the edge but didn't open it. He watched Mia sleep. He watched the clock. At 5 a.m., he finally stood up and walked down the hall. The chapel was empty. He sat in the back row. The lights were dim. A single candle flickered on the altar. He whispered, "If that was from you, I need courage now." His voice cracked. "I'm terrified." Back in the room, a nurse was checking Mia's vitals. She nodded as he entered, gave a quiet smile and left. Mia opened her eyes slowly. "You were gone. I didn't go far. Did you cry?" He chuckled softly. "I might have." She smiled. "It's okay." He pulled the chair close and took her hand. "There's a doctor, a new one. He thinks there might be a trial that could help." She blinked, too tired to react. He said, "It won't be easy, and it might not work. But I think it's worth trying." She squeezed his fingers weakly. "Okay, Daddy." He kissed her forehead. That afternoon, the hospital made calls. Arrangements were set in motion. Dr. Elian returned briefly, went over the details. Nate tried to keep up. Some words blurred together. T-cell, infusion, trial site, consent forms. He signed everything. 3 days later, Mia was transferred to another hospital hours away. Nate went with her, slept on the floor, held her hand during injections, read to her between blood tests, prayed in the hallway when she was too weak to speak. The treatment was hard. There were nights he wanted to give up. But every time he remembered the moment that doctor walked in, the look in his eyes, the way Mia had stirred in her sleep, he started praying more, not just for healing, for strength, for clarity, for grace. One evening while Mia slept, he stood by the hospital window watching the city lights. He whispered, "If you're still listening, thank you. Even if it doesn't work, thank you for giving me something to hope for again." Behind him, he heard a sound. He turned. Mia was sitting up, eyes bright, face pale, but smiling. "I feel better, Daddy." He rushed to her. The nurse came in, then another, then a doctor. They ran tests, checked numbers, and then came the words he never thought he'd hear. "The cells are responding." Her body was fighting back. Days turned into weeks. Mia's strength came back slowly. She smiled more, laughed again. She even asked for her favorite book, the one with the dog that talked too much. Nate read it aloud, stumbling over the silly voices like he used to. She was still weak. There were setbacks, days with fevers, days with no appetite. But the difference now was hope. Real, breathing hope. Every evening, Nate sat by her bed and prayed. He didn't ask for miracles anymore. He thanked, even for the smallest things. A full spoon of soup, a smile, one day without pain. He kept thinking about Dr. Elian. He had only seen him twice. Each time the man had come late at night, quietly, spoke clearly, and left without much noise. One evening, Nate asked Mia's nurse if she could pass along a thank you note to Dr. Elian. She looked puzzled. "Who?" "Dr. Elian, the one who found the trial for Mia." She checked the chart. "There's no one by that name on her case." He frowned. He came in twice, tall, serious, said he just transferred to the floor. She shook her head. "We haven't had any transfers to this wing in months." Nate felt something shift inside him, a question he hadn't dared to ask before. That night, he went back to the hospital chapel. He didn't scream this time. He sat in silence for a long time before whispering, "Was it you?" The candle on the altar flickered. He felt nothing dramatic. No voice, no vision. But deep inside, something in him settled. A quiet certainty. Not that everything would be okay, but that they were not alone. Weeks later, the doctors confirmed what Nate had prayed for every single night. Mia was in remission. No visible signs of cancer in her latest scans. Nate broke down in the hallway, hands shaking, shoulders trembling, with sobs. He didn't run to call anyone, didn't post on social media. He just sat on the floor, eyes closed, and whispered, "Thank you." When Mia was discharged, she walked out of the hospital holding her dad's hand, hair growing back, skin a little brighter, eyes still full of light. The staff clapped, some cried. She waved. Nate asked again about Dr. Elian. No one could find any records. Not in the staff list, not in the directory. No one remembered seeing him. But Nate remembered. The firm footsteps, the calm voice, the folder on the table. And that moment, the one he would never forget, when he had whispered for a sign, and the doctor walked in. It's been 3 years. Mia is 12 now. She rides her bike around the neighborhood, draws pictures of animals, tells everyone she wants to be a nurse when she grows up. Nate watches her with quiet awe. Every breath she takes still feels like a gift. He still carries the folder Dr. Elian left. There's no hospital letterhead on it, no signature, just notes and hope. He never found him again. He tried at first, called hospitals, looked through directories, asked people in oncology networks. No one knew a Dr. Elian. No one had ever heard of him, and maybe that's how it was meant to be. Nate no longer questions the mystery. He doesn't need proof anymore. What he has is enough, because he remembers the darkness. He remembers the ache of surrender, the helplessness, the moment he finally let go and asked, not for control, but for a sign. And the sign came, not with thunder, not with lightning, but with footsteps, and a voice, and a folder placed quietly on a table. Now, whenever people ask Nate if he believes in miracles, he doesn't hesitate. "I saw one," he says. "She's sleeping upstairs, probably still hugging that ridiculous stuffed elephant." And sometimes, when he can't sleep, he returns to the chapel. It's always quiet. There, one candle still flickers. He sits, breathes, smiles, and whispers into the stillness. "I remember. Thank you." And what about you? Have you ever found yourself at the edge of something you couldn't fix? Something you couldn't bear alone? If you had asked for a sign, would you have recognized it when it came?